All right. If anyone in the chat can hear me, just push one. All right, got a confirmation. Thank you for the confirmation. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 582, Black Tech Talk. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. Docket in the description beneath the video for you to follow along with. If you want to engage in this discussion, there'll be a link in the chat for you to click on. When you click on the link, make sure you raise your hand so that one of us can acknowledge you and advance you to the panel. There is a new Zoom update out that was released yesterday. So make sure you update your Zoom client to version 5.1.3. Just as an FYI, we still do IT mentorship. If you're trying to get in IT for the first time, we do offer IT mentorship. If you're trying to go from one IT role to another, we do offer IT coaching. If you're in the tri-state area, you're looking for any IT contracts, Nagone 11 does have recs on the table. All right, let me give a shout out to people who showed up first before we get started. 3D Burns, peace. Toot Riv, sup. Shaw Willie, good morning to you. Maddox 12, good morning to you as well. Mike Shittery, what it do? Shing Shang, peace to you. Wadner, what's up? Willie Beaman, good afternoon. Black Torch, good afternoon to you as well. Invention Seeker, what's going on? G Darius 10, what's going on? All right, let's get started, man. Throw the first item on the docket. All right. First item on the docket is from Tech Republic. The most in-demand IT staff companies want to hire. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me just ping somebody real quick. All right, as remote work is expected to remain the predominant model at least through the end of 2020, here are positions companies want in key technologies they should have in place. As the COVID-19 pandemic has revealed, IT has never played a more integral role than over the past few months, helping companies transition their staff to working remotely. Oh, sorry, that just been sorry, just getting pinged. Now IT is on a rise to support a work from home plan for the rest of the 2020, said Paul Wallenberg, Director of Technology Services at LaSalle Network, a national IT staffing, recruitment, and cultural firm. The greatest demand for tech staff right now is in cybersecurity and general IT support and system administration, the latter being responsible for supporting and maintaining systems so remote users have full access to their company's networks, Wallenberg said. In terms of specific verticals, the biggest uptick has been in essential businesses like logistics and companies that serve our food supply chains and consumer packaged goods, he said. Early on, there was a surge in financial services, especially IT staff who provided access between systems that connect to the market data feeds and trade exchanges. which Wallenberg said weren't capable of being fully virtual. Virtual desktop infrastructure had to be deployed very rapidly to enable financial professionals to continue their normal day-to-day operations, he said. So there was a big uptake in system administration to support professionals with remote connectivities and VDI implementation across VMware and Citrix and common virtualization technology. At the beginning of the pandemic, all of the hiring of IT staff was on the temporary and contract side, Wallenberg said. I will say, over the last 4 weeks, we've seen a significant uptick in permanent hiring, mainly for security and systems admin professionals. As companies are interviewing candidates, there is also an emphasis on diversifying their tech hires, he said. Diversity and inclusion initiatives, even before the pandemic, were topical, and they've remained topical and became even more significant, and not just from the companies themselves, but there is also a demand by job seekers, Wallenberg noted. They want to know on the front end what diversity and inclusion initiatives are already in place, or as a result of some of the cries for social justice, what will be pursued in the near term. Zoom, WebEx, and Teams remain among the most predominant technologies companies need to ensure a successful work from home model for the rest of 2020, Wallenberg said. Companies are also interested in buying, in business software suites like Microsoft 365 and G Suite by Google. If you haven't gone to either of those, you're going to have to make some pretty significant strides over the next 6 months to make remote work seem as close to in-office as possible, he said. So demand is strong for IT people who have experience in three buckets: teleconferencing apps, cloud native apps, and networking software that allows for reliable VPN connectivity. Additionally, the emphasis on soft skills is more important than ever before. In organizational skills, customer service, things are so different for people when they talk to IT, they need to feel comforted more than ever because of the challenges inherent in not working next to a coworker. So that ability to manage conflict rationally and the ability to calm people if there are high stress situations is crucial. Companies want people who are good communicators who will be proactive, for example, quickly addressing a support ticket that comes in the morning so users don't have to wait, Wallenberg said. In terms of security hiring trends, there have always been really brilliant people who can sell the need for security to the business. And that is needed now more than ever in IT, he said. In a perfect world, it shouldn't have taken high-profile breaches or personal and identifiable information for companies to wake up and say, we need to invest more money in it. So security leadership, and further down the pole, they have to sell their vision on steps to take to more systematically ensure systems are safe and companies are protected from threats. Because of the current climate, it is also critical that companies are prepared to handle remote onboarding on new tech teams, Wallenberg said. Companies that adopted a cloud-first strategy years ago are in a much better position to onboard staff than people who need an office network to connect, he said. In the former scenario, hiring is just a matter of making sure all hires can be provisioned quickly and then deciding whether they are going to have a BYOD approach or if they'll need to ship out a laptop and a phone, according to Wallenberg. Obviously, in the case you need to have a process scripted, he said. It is a little more tricky with companies that don't have their apps and services in the cloud. In that case, hopefully by now, most companies have expanded those capacities for people to access resources via a VPN. Yeah, this is very true. Okay, this is very true. If nobody's in the office and you need to ship out devices to new hires, what are you going to do? Somebody has to go into the office. Somebody has to, provision a lot of these devices and stuff like that. Somebody has to be there. Regardless if no one else is in the office, somebody has to build out those devices. All of those laptops and desktops and stuff like that are locked away in the IT closet. What are they going to do? You know? And so what this means is that we have to think outside the box. Okay, we have to think outside the box. I think what's happening here is that a lot of companies who fail to think long term are actually paying the price now. I would not want to be one of those directors of operations or VPs, anything like that. If you didn't have a backup strategy in the case of a worst case scenario like this, your job is SOL. Okay, your job is SOL. A lot of companies only had like maybe 1 or 2 people who work remote. Maybe the CEO, maybe a high-ranking C-suite person, but at the same time, what about your common everyday people? If the common everyday worker can't work remotely, you're screwed. Okay. I remember during the Boston bombing, we had first noticed that there was an event happening. Okay, an incident had happened. Okay, we have a big dashboard in corporate security, and we saw what was happening on the ground. Okay, I wasn't even in cybersecurity back then. I was in a completely different IT role, but I happened to be in corporate security having a conversation, and we saw the alerts coming through on the dashboard. Okay, this massive global dashboard that shows all of these terrorist attacks and whatnot. And what happened was we had the ability to shift people over in a matter of 90 minutes. Okay. In a matter of 90 minutes, we had made a decision to send everyone home in the office before the lockdown came in. By the time the lockdown happened, all the office was empty. We're talking about 2,500 people we sent home immediately. If you have a laptop, if you had a desktop or something like that at home, check your VPN and then leave the office immediately. Get out. By the time people had got on the trains and buses and stuff to get home, and they had shut down the cell phone towers so that no one can communicate, okay, because they thought that the bombs were remote, could be remotely detonated. They had shut down the cell phone towers for quite some time. Everyone was already out of the office. Okay. By the time they got home, they had already plugged in and they were already back working. Okay. That's how we were thinking back then. If you're a company that did not, really plan out for a disaster like this, you're screwed. Everyone from the top down. I mean, I know shit rolls downhill, but even at the top, how can you be a chief information officer or a chief technology officer or something like that and not have a strategy in place? Where's your business continuity? Right? Where is your business continuity here? Yeah, you can blame, the help desk or something like that for being slow to respond. That's not their fault. Okay, they can only follow the process. Who created the process? These are the sort of things that matter. And we've been talking about this for months, that companies need to, really figure out this new sort of future, right? This new sort of future. People are not going into the office like that. Not for 2020. That's over and done with. 2020 is over and done with. No one's going back into the office. There is no reason to go back into the office at this point. 2021, 2022, 2023. What's the future going to be like? Do you really need all of these IT people in the office? Okay. Do you even need this big of an office? What's the point of having all these seats and whatnot and paying for all this real estate if most of the work can be done in someone's home remotely? And so for me, companies try to find a balance between culture that they've developed in the workplace on-prem and how to manage the transition from on-prem to remote. Okay. if your culture can be easily disrupted through a pandemic, then it wasn't that strong of a culture to begin with. It's not worth having. Lack of cultural resilience is exactly why you're in this situation now. Oh, we have this great culture and we're just so diverse and inclusive. Yeah, right. Up until a pandemic hits and now you're scratching your head and with your pants around your ankles, like what just happened? Okay. So that's what's going on here. And I think what people should take away from this is yeah, they're looking for cybersecurity people and stuff like that because they're going to need it because there's a lot of stuff that goes on at home that not everyone is going to be privy to, and we have to have a means of actually monitoring all of this access, remote and ingress and egress access and stuff like that, and theft. Okay, we had a situation where there was a Christmas party and a lot of your interns and entry level staff or whoever these people were, I don't know who these people were, they left their laptops in their cars at a Christmas party, and bad guy came by and popped every single window and took the laptops out of the bags and ran off. Okay, he made away with 20 different MacBooks. All right, so this is what happens. Events like that happen off-prem. Do we have the necessary resources and bandwidth to deal with a situation like this where potential sensitive information is still stuck on those hard devices? It may take them a few months to get the bad guys to get the the data off of there, but they better try and fail than not do it at all. And we don't have a way of actually securing that once it leaves our hands. Once it leaves the employee's hands, we really don't have a way of really dealing with that as a whole, unless you invested into some tools. And so that's why the demand for cybersecurity is so so much in demand right now for remote workers, because no one's in the SOC anymore. If there was a SOC, in any organizations that they're not in the office now, there's no real reason to be in the office right now. For what? You can do all your work remotely. Okay. So yeah, your office suites and stuff like that. We've talked about this before. People getting G Suite certified. Google is giving that away. That's one of their free certifications. If you go on their site, you can get a G Suite certification. Okay. A lot of schools are moving to G Suite because it's cheaper. Okay, they move it to Chromebooks. It's cheaper. That's what they're looking at. Okay. Sys admins and stuff like that. Yeah, somebody has to set up Exchange. Somebody has to set up the inboxes and stuff like that. Distribution and whatnot. So what I'm saying here is this, and virtualization too. Virtualization can be really key, especially things like Citrix, because you can push down a desktop to someone's BYOD, which is very important because a lot of companies may not have enough laptops available. So BYOD may very well be the way going forward. And we talked about this a few times on economics, but you go to like Best Buy, Target and stuff like that, people can't find laptops because all the laptops have been bought out because everyone's working from home. Everyone is staying home. So you got to be able to pivot in these times where not enough hard resources, not enough human capital, not enough bandwidth, not enough infrastructure available. What do you do? This is a worst case scenario. No one could have predicted that COVID-19 would be able to cause so much disruption in Western, in Western society. And so I think this is going to be a very big learning lesson, especially in academia, because this was unforeseen. No one could have imagined this. Now, if you went to Africa or Latin America, you would be like, okay, these people are really, really far behind. But in reality, this is a perfect time for them because now they can build all their infrastructure up on top of the idea of a pandemic, right? They can build all the infrastructure up now because although they did not have all the connectivity, they also have lack of people moving around. So now they can actually come up with better services based on the pandemic, based on the situation that they're in. Okay. So if you're going to go be a digital nomad and run across the continent or Latin America or Asia, or something like that, they're looking for people who can provide consulting solutions like this as a consultant. Okay. This is what they're looking for. Most of these countries, to be honest with you, don't have a digital national ID system. Okay? They don't have it. Never needed it until now. Until you start talking about contact tracing and maneuverability and stuff like that, people moving around, people potentially having COVID, people not having COVID, people being tested, not being tested. Yeah, that matters. That matters now. Yeah, engineering cannabis hit the nail right on the head. He said a pandemic will be part of policy and technology. That's damn right. You had better have worst case scenario. This is a worst case scenario. You can plan for a tornado because you have an early warning system. Same thing with a hurricane. You have satellites that can track all that stuff. You could not track a biological event like this. Okay, couldn't track something like this. It was unforeseen, and so that's why, you know, the most in-demand IT staff companies want to hire. Yeah, they're scrambling. Okay, they're scrambling. Yeah, people are starting to build their own laptops. They're buying bare metal laptops and they're throwing whatever SSD drives they can put in there, and how, the maximum amount of memory they can throw in there, and maybe even a processor for that matter. They may bump up the processor, and then install their own version of Windows on there, okay, or their own version of Linux for that matter, and hope that it works. And so that's what's going on. Okay, not enough laptops to go around. Yeah, you got 80 to 100 million people working from home. You only had a few thousand desktops and laptops on store shelves. There's no more printers out here. You can't even buy a printer now. I was fortunate enough last month to go grab the last HP printer that they had in stock, an all-in-one. I was fortunate to have access to that from Micro Center. So, anyways, that's what's going on, man. Very serious stuff, in IT. Not just cybersecurity, but everything. This disaster recovery, business continuity. That stuff is all going to matter now going forward. The name of the game here is to be pandemic ready. Okay, disaster recovery, business continuity. That's an old term now. Now we're talking about, are we pandemic ready? Can we handle an extinction level event in regards to working remote? Okay. The last time we had an event like this was 9/11. When 9/11 happened and towers started coming down and stuff like that, there was a lot of companies that were in these buildings that had their infrastructure in there. And when the towers came down, they lost everything. They had no backups. So years and years and years of work through the 90s was lost overnight in 2001. Just like that. No recovery. I think there was like maybe one or two companies that were able to really get out ahead of time, like Bank of America or something like that. I forget who it was, which companies it were, but they were able to actually go to a warm site when the event happened, because they were on the lower floors. Okay? They were between floor 3 to like 20 or something like that. And they were able to get down the stairs and get to the warm site and recover from there. But once the buildings came crashing down, That was it. Okay. That was it. You lost all your data. You lost all your servers. There was no way to recover it. You're screwed. You're out of business. Now in a biological event like this, you had better be cloud resilient. Okay. You had better be cultural resilient. The ability to spin on a pivot if something was to happen. And did you hire enough IT people to do it? Okay. Did you provide enough training for your IT people to actually carry out a disaster level event like this? A lot of companies stopped paying for certifications and stopped paying for training. They screwed themselves out. They wanted to save money. All right, let me get to the next item on the docket. All right, this is from DICE. System administrator salary, skills and certification to boost. All right. How much can system administrators make, and what kinds of skills and experience are needed to lock down a high systems administrator salary? For many system administrators, the particulars of the job have evolved quite a bit over the past 10 to 15 years. A long time ago, many of the jobs tasks were on premises as companies spent lots of money maintaining servers in small data centers. In addition to keeping such networks operating, sysadmins also had to manage employees' hardware and software. But then cloud became the buzzword on every C-suite executive's lips. BYOD radically changed how employees use hardware and software. Systems administrator jobs evolved considerably. In addition to managing a traditional network, they had to deal with virtualized servers and systems, cloud services, and remote employees. Sysadmin specialized, especially as automation began to consume many tasks that were once performed manually. For example, the emerging phenomenon of cloud system administrators. Given the complexity of the job, it's no surprise that system administrators must also utilize their soft skills in order to get buy-in from employees and executives about big issues. If you're pursuing a system administrator role, that's definitely something you can't overlook. Effective communication skills can have a sizable impact on your promotions and ultimately your systems administrator salary. What is the system administrator's average salary? According to Burning Glass, which collects and analyzes millions of job postings from across the country, the median salary for system administrators is $76,080. Although those with experience and the right mix of skills can expect to earn far more. Do system administrators get paid well? As with so many roles in tech, system administrator hinges on combination of skills, experience, and education. Using data from Burning Glass, here's how salary can change with experience. As you can see, the more years you accumulate in the role, the more you earn. Okay. So 9+ years, at least in tech, by experience, you should be cracking close to $100,000. Okay, you should be. But I think that's dependent on where you live. I think in New York, you're definitely guaranteed to get 150K in New York. Cost of living is much higher. But if you went to somewhere like, Oklahoma or Arkansas, yeah, 60, 70, 75,000, that's pretty normal. for someone with 9 years experience. System administrator salary by education. So if you only had a high school or vocational training, then yeah, that median is going to be around 66,000. Okay. If you had an associate's degree from a community college, a tech school, something like that, yeah, 64,000 is about right. Bachelor's degree, you're definitely going to get considerably more because branding of a school really matters too. You know, you come from a D1 school, trust me, you're going to get a lot more just based off of the branding of the school. So sometimes going to college does help in those areas, but the strategy is you want to go get your associates and get all your general ed classes out of the way, and then transfer your credits to a 4-year school, maybe a state school, maybe a well-known private school, and finish off over there. You know, it's worth it in the end. Some 78.2% of system administrator roles ask for a bachelor's degree, which is good news for any technologist who doesn't have the time or funding to secure an advanced degree. But when employees examine your application materials, they are going to care about skills as much, if not more, than your degree, which brings us to what are the most valuable skills for system administrators. An analysis of the nationwide job postings reveals the skills that employers really want in system administrators. On the technical side of things, extensive knowledge of Linux, VMware, and Windows products is key. For the soft skills part of the equation, troubleshooting and communication are similarly vital. System and database administrator skills, so specialized skills for a system administrator. Basics, the baseline skills is troubleshooting, okay? So sysadmins spend a lot more time troubleshooting things than anything else. For Linux administrators, or so I should say, Linux as a skill set, the communication, the ability to speak in layman's terms about Linux is probably more important according to this. VMware is about problem solving, okay? Microsoft Active Directory, planning. Yeah, you gotta, when you're talking about building an LDAP or AD forest, then you're talking about planning out long-term. This has to be 20 years and, or at least 10 years. For most companies, it could be 10 years because acquisitions happen and stuff like that. Windows Server is about collaboration and teamwork. Okay. Technical support, you got to know Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. That's what they look for. Hardware and software installation is about research. So the ability to Google. In addition, employers often ask that their system administrators possess certifications. Here are the ones that pop up in job postings. As you can see, there's a heavy emphasis on security, which makes sense. A big part of the job is ensuring that networks and tech stacks are safe from attack. So certification, security clearance, frequently requested is sometimes. CompTIA Security Plus, sometimes they do ask for us. Yeah, this is true. If you go for a government role, they usually require you to have a Security Plus if you're going to work in a InfoSec role. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, is the rule of thumb. CCNA occasionally asks for network administrators. Yeah, Cisco is the benchmark. That's just what it is out here. Unless you go to Europe and you run into like some Juniper systems. For right now, Cisco is the name of the game. Okay, so getting your CCNA if you're a network admin guy, very important. ITIL, this is occasionally asked for because people need to understand the service management level from an IT standpoint, and so ITIL is a driven process that's improvable to work. And so having ITIL as a certification is not bad at all, especially the newest one because it covers DevOps and it covers a few other agile areas of expertise that's going to be really critical. You're not asked to memorize anything off of ITIL. You just need to understand the process. Okay, there's a specific process that's been proven to work, and that's just what the deal is with that. MCSA, from my understanding, is going away, so it doesn't really matter. At this point, they're just talking about Azure, so I wouldn't worry so much about MCSA. MCS E2, that's all going away after this month. You won't have to worry about that. Unless you're Azure certified, it won't matter. CISSP, everyone is always looking for a CISSP when it comes to network and system engineers. I don't know why, because CISSP is a security leadership certification. You really get that when you reach the pinnacle of your career. You're a senior, a principal sort of person. I see a lot of people who do have CISSP. Like I said, I was working with somebody not too long ago. He didn't know the difference between an RJ11 and an RJ45. Really critical knowledge that should have been known by this person. He just didn't know. He wasn't a bad person. He just didn't know. Just really out there. According to Burning Glass, demand for system administrators will grow 6.1% over the next decade. The current time to fill open positions is 39 days, indicating a healthy level of demand. Given the necessity of companies' tech systems, this isn't a job that's going away anytime soon, even if automation changes the nature of it. Do your best to stay ahead for your next job by making sure system administrator's resume is complete and that you're aware of the top system administrator interview questions so that you can be completely prepared. I agree with this. I think right now, during the pandemic, sysadmin jobs have ticked up significantly. They need a lot of people who can actually backfill for a lead guy. A lead guy may get caught up in 2-3 meetings a day, and that's your ticket queue has gone up because only one guy can't do it all. So you need some junior system administrators to come in, junior network administrators to come in. Those terms are starting to come back into play now.
That's a fact. Just was pulling up some recs on that just recently. So yeah, absolutely. That's bottom line, Mike.
Absolutely. So I think if you're an IT person or you want to get into IT, yeah, that sysadmin is really, really popping right now because of COVID. Okay. A lot of companies who did not work remotely before and need to work remotely now, their head is spinning. Okay. They don't know what to do. They need some kind of sysadmin to walk in there, see the environment for what it is and say, okay, I got this.
Exactly correct. A lot also with a lot of Unix and not so much Unix, but Linux and so forth. Big coming up right now on the Red Hat side and all that. All the stuff, just classic stuff that's been around. It's a lot more demand for it now. And I don't see that. I actually don't see that slowing down. I see that actually starting to increase. And I'm getting more machine learning positions. Kind of wanted to go over one of those recs with you guys. I'm not going to go over a lot of recs, but one of those recs with you guys today, show you kind of what we're really looking at. We'll get into that in a little bit. Mike finishes up, but yeah, there's a lot of demand, and this COVID is definitely bringing a lot of pressure on the IT market and the IT industry for a lot more qualified IT professionals. Definitely on the sysadmin side, certainly on the development side, this machine learning side, and all that. All the machine learning, all of this, blockchain, all the stuff is big. So it's only increasing. A lot more pressure on the game. That's quite frankly where we need to be.
Yeah, that's the emerging technologies that are starting to become more in demand. All right, this is from rnet.com. The 15 most valuable IT certifications today. Expand this over. Certifications and skills can boost your salary, set you apart from the competition, and help you land promotions in your current role. According to the Global Knowledge 2019 IT Skills and Salary Report, the average IT professional in North America earns $109,985 per year, which is 27% higher than the average salary in the US. Over 85% of IT professionals hold a certification, and 60% they plan to to obtain a new certification this year, according to the report. The average IT salary increases with each certification earned. IT professionals with one certification earn an average salary of $106,780 per year, while those with 6 or more report on average of $117,212 per year. This year, cloud computing and security take center stage as some of the highest earning certifications on the list. The 15 most valuable certifications for 2020. Google Certified Professional Cloud Architect. Okay, this is really, really in demand right now for whatever reason. I don't know why so many companies are looking for this, but I guess they have their, they have their reasons. But it's emerging as one of the valuable. Nicole, you got a lot of feedback in the background. AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, a lot of companies, they like the idea of AWS because AWS is popular, okay? It's pop culture now. You say cloud, you say AWS. That's just how it is. And because of that, companies just jump out there and they say, yo, we're gonna spin up some AWS services. Yeah, you go ahead and do it. You need somebody that can actually understand it though. The environment is very proprietary. And so you have to be careful that you're not spinning up services that may be too much for your basic staff to handle. Certified Information Security Manager. Yes, if you're in a leadership role, if you're going from like a principal or a senior information security person role, yeah, CISA makes sense. Okay, CISA makes sense. But that's later on in your career. But that's that's what's on the list. Certified in Risk and Information Systems Control. Yeah, this is for digital risk people or IT risk people. That's what that certification is for. I don't see anything wrong with getting this certification if you're not going to work in cybersecurity per se. You're going to work more on the risk and compliance side. This makes a lot of sense. We talked about CISSP. That's another security leadership sort of certification. So usually senior people usually have a CISSP. Certified Information Systems Auditor. Yes, CISA. CISA makes sense if you're going to be a part of a big four, KPMG, E&Y, Deloitte. Those are the companies look for a CISA big time. And it does pay well. The work can be boring, but it pays very well.
Coopers as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
What else? AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. That's the bare minimum for AWS. I don't see too many companies looking for that, but it feels good to get it though. VMware Certified Professional 6 Data Center Virtualization, really big right now during COVID. If you know VMware really well, then, or if you know virtualization very well, then VMware certs make a lot of sense. The only thing is that they're very expensive, but there's a return on that investment too. So if I had the money, if my company was going to pay for it, if they were going to go half on it, I would actually get it. I don't work in that area, so I don't really have a desire to even go out and get something like that. PMP, Project Management Professional. This used to be a really hot cert some years ago, during the Obama administration, but now a lot of companies have moved to Agile. They've moved to Scrum. They're not really invested into PMP anymore. And so I kind of question the legitimacy of this being on the list. At least in 2020, I don't see the value of it. ITIL Foundation, we talked about that earlier. ITIL makes sense from a service management standpoint. If you're going to be on help desk, you're going to be the desktop, you're going to be a sysadmin, network admin, that makes sense. Okay. Microsoft Certified, Azure Fundamentals, Azure Administrator and Associate, makes a lot of sense. This is the new Microsoft cert. Azure is Microsoft cloud answer to cloud to Amazon Web Services. This is growing fast, mostly because companies that were gold partners with Microsoft in the 90s, in the early 2000s, still maintain that gold partnership. Microsoft does immense things for companies that are in that partnership loop. And so what happens now is, all those Exchange servers and Windows servers that they had on the ground, Azure has a toolkit that allows you to transition from on-prem to cloud, just like that in a few mouse clicks. Okay. So if you know Azure, and a lot of companies are looking to get off of the Exchange servers of 2016 or whatever it was that they were on, this is what's going to be popping now. Having that Azure credential makes a lot of sense going forward, at least for 2020. Maybe you could have argued 2016, 2017, Azure didn't make a whole lot of sense to get the certification, but now in 2020 with this pandemic, you really can't not have it, can't afford to not have it if you're going to be on the operation side. All right, Citrix Certified Associate Networking. I don't see a whole lot of demand for this. I know companies use Citrix, but they don't really look for certifications like this. I don't know why anybody would want that certification, because why would you want to be siloed into Citrix? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sysadmins and network admins who know virtualization are gonna just do it without the certification. Okay, they'll go through the training and that's it. They're not going to certify in that. CCNP Enterprise Certification. No one ever been fired for CCNP. Okay. No one's ever been fired for having a Cisco certification. Citrix Certified Professional Virtualization. Yeah. Citrix virtualization is very much fundamental with a lot of app virtualization. And so with BYOD happening during the pandemic, Citrix Certified Professional makes a lot of sense. I can't say I disagree with that. The average salary for a Google Cloud professional is $152,129. I said that early in the last article that around $150K for a sysadmin in New York is not uncommon. AWS Certified Solutions Architects, again, $149K, not uncommon. CISM, $148K. That's a little low. Usually for a security manager, you're talking about 160, 165. That's usually pretty normal. CRISC, unless you're in a leadership role, I think 146K is a little bit far-fetched, but probably not uncommon in New York. CISSP, yeah, 141K, that sounds about normal. CISA is same thing, that's about normal for a lead CISA role, $132,278. That sounds about right for a lead auditor, systems auditor, so that makes sense. Yeah, AWS Cloud Certified Cloud Practitioner. I think this is a little bit unrealistic, but 100K is not uncommon for a cloud person. It's not uncommon. 131K, I think that's a little far-fetched. VMware Certified Professional, yeah, 130K, that's normal. PMP, I don't know if anybody's really making that kind of money anymore. I really haven't seen a PMP person in a few years, to be quite honest. Everybody I know is Agile and Scrum. ITIL, you don't really get paid by ITIL. Either you know it or you don't, and it's not really contingent upon the salary. So, Azure Fundamentals, Azure Administrator Associate, 125K sounds about right. CCNP, 120K, sounds about right. Yeah, Citrix Certified Professional, 117K sounds about right. So I don't see anything wrong with the listing, other than a couple of certifications I think are questionable.
Yeah, I would say the jobs are pretty much in line. PPMP, PMPs, I'm not really seeing many of them either, because a lot of the methodologies that are a lot of companies that are currently using, like you're saying, a lot of Scrum and Agile and Waterfall. I mean, they're using a lot of few different things that are going on, but usually Agile and Scrum are the biggest. And if you have some PMPs, but yet they have other skill sets that come in, and they're kind of playing a slightly different role in there as well, that they may come in there, but as far as just straight project manager positions, I haven't been seeing many of those since around, I would say, 2012 or so. I haven't, literally, I haven't seen many of them since that time. That's just how things have been going.
Yeah. All right, let me get to this last one, man, from Business Insider. 9 tech skills that will land you a salary of 125,000 or more. This is interesting. If you want to make more money as a programmer, it might be worth brushing up on your skills. Working as a programmer in the US can lead you a six-figure salary, but there are some languages that are in even more demand. Stack Overflow, a Q&A site for developers with 50 million unique monthly visitors, surveyed 65,000 developers to ask about what languages they use, their salaries, and more. From this data, it put together a list of programming languages associated with the highest salaries. While some of the top money-making programming languages are well loved, a few of them made it onto Stack Overflow's list of most dreaded languages. Perhaps these salaries compensate for having to work with languages that most developers don't want to use. The survey showed developers' median salaries worldwide and in the US, and Stack Overflow converted currencies to USD using the exchange rate on February 2nd, 2020, and assumed 12 working months and 50 working weeks for annual salaries. That's a lot of work, man. Also, the survey was taken in February before the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak as a pandemic in March. Different routines and challenges around remote work may have affected developers' choices. Number 9, Swift. Apple launched this programming language in 2014, and it has since become one of the fastest growing programming languages. Swift makes it easier to build iOS apps on mobile and desktop. And it's becoming more common for AI applications as well. Swift developers make a median salary of 58,000 globally and 125,000 in the US. Interesting. So Swift makes it easier to build iOS apps on mobile and desktop. Interesting. Let me get to the next one. All right, number 8 is C. C is one of the oldest programming languages and still one of the most popular today. Developed by American computer scientist Dennis Ritchie in 1972, C developers make a median salary of 125,000 in the US and 50,000 globally. C was designed to be a general purpose language for programming a wide array of computer systems and hardware. Many popular languages today, including Java, PHP, and JavaScript, have their roots in C. I see, says the blind man, that 125,000 doesn't sound uncommon for a lead developer. Okay, doesn't sound uncommon at all.
In C, no, that's actually quite common in C and some offshoot C, C#, C++, and so forth that are used in a myriad of different programming environments where you're programming banking institutions and so forth. And of course, even with the cloud and all this, still very big. Some of it is somewhat complex. That's why, there's a lot of objects and so forth that you're going to program with this as well. Other more technical aspects of really keeping the code very really clean and sharp. You're going to be using a lot of multi-threading and so forth. You're going to have to understand how a lot of that works with these programming languages. That's why it really commands a fairly decent dollar rate. And these languages, I know a lot of people have been talking about this, but more and more recs I see, a lot of the same stuff is still coming. We have some new stuff that you see coming in, but there's some baseline games to this, and your Java, your JavaScript, your C, your C++, your C programming skills, and so forth. These things are standard. Your basic relational database programming languages like SQL and so forth. These things are standards. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. I just want to say that because I hear a lot of people in the technical world saying some different things, but these things still stay around and not going anywhere anytime soon that I can see. Mike, do you?
No. I think the language is, as long as you have x86 systems today, you'll always have these languages around.
Right.
Unless we move to a different architecture, I don't see it changing anytime soon. All right, number 7 is Rust. Mozilla developed Rust as a fast, reliable programming language that's efficient with its memory and prevents many bugs. Rust developers report a median salary of $74,000 globally and $130,000 in the US. Today, it is used in web services like Firefox, Dropbox, and Amazon. And it can also run on hardware devices and networking services. It's also one of the fastest growing programming languages, according to GitHub, growing 235% last year. And developers love it. The top Stack Overflow's list of most loved programming languages 5 years in a row. Yeah, I know a lot of people who work in Rust from a startup perspective. They seem to really like it. I don't have any experience with it myself. But Rust kind of picks up where C++ fails. C++ has a lot of garbage dump issues where the memory is always leaking in an application. And so it gobbles up a lot of your memory. That's why sometimes your computer will slow down and you have to kind of Control-Alt-Delete, to stop it from running because it's out of control. And that's where Rust kind of comes in.
But it's still used heavy. C++, they still use it.
It's starting to go away in terms of choice, right? It's not, if they can find something better to work with, they just do that. Number 6 is Ruby.
Yep.
Developers earn a median salary of $71,000 globally and $130,000 in the US. This open source programming language was created in Yukihiro Matsumoto, who blended the best parts of his favorite languages to create it. Ruby was released in 1995, and since then it's become one of the most popular programming languages with several conferences and meetups based on the Ruby language. I don't know too many people who really use Ruby exclusively, but I know some people who have used it for app development. So I guess it has its places in certain types of what they call progressive apps. So depends on what the purpose is that needs to be that it needs to be used for.
I had a client, Track Phones, from a while back. They were using Ruby and Ruby on Rails. And I never really got my head around that. I just saw that. Now they need Ruby on Rails. I really still didn't really know what that was. So I don't know if you know what that is, Mike.
Yeah, it's used for mobile app development.
Yeah.
Number 5, Perl.
Yep.
Perl is a family of programming languages that's over 30 years old, built by programmer Larry Wall. Globally, Perl is the top paying programming language, as developers make a median salary of $76,000 in the US. Perl programmers make a median salary of $130,000. Perl is used for prototyping, large-scale projects, text manipulation, system administration, web development, network programming, and more. Yeah, Perl is usually used as a part of LAMP stack. So Linux, Apache, what do you call the M? Something in Perl. So that makes up LAMP stack. And so Perl is used in that. I don't know too many people use it now. Maybe if they develop in WordPress, they still use Perl. I know for blog sites, a lot of sites, older sites use Perl. So I guess it still has its place if you work on blogging and stuff like that. Kotlin, which was developed by the software tools company JetBrains, helps developers write Android apps faster and in a more productive way. Today, Kotlin developers make a median salary of $130,000 in the US. Globally, it's less popular, and Kotlin developers worldwide make a median salary of $54,000. It's similar to the older programming language Java, which is also used for developing Android apps, but it's more modern and requires writing less code. It also has features that help developers avoid common programming mistakes. It's now an official language for Android development and one of the fastest growing programming languages according to GitHub, as it grew by 182% in the past year. Yeah, that's because like the article is saying, it's a faster way to developing Android apps. Using Java to develop Android apps right now is the equivalent of trying to parallel park a 50-foot trailer, man, or an RV or something like that. With Kotlin, it's more like a subcompact vehicle. So that's my understanding of Kotlin for, right now. I don't know too many people who do work in it, but the company I worked at before did develop Android apps, and Kotlin was a primary choice. But I guess if you know Java, you should be able to catch on to this pretty well. But if you don't know any language between the two and you wanted to write Android apps, Kotlin would be the go-to choice. Objective-C is based on the C programming language, and it's one of the main programming language Apple uses for building its OS X and iOS operating system. Objective-C developers make a median salary of $135,000 in the US and $64,000 globally. Objective-C is also used for developing iOS apps. It was first developed in the 1980s and used for the Next Step operating system developed by Next before Apple acquired it. Okay. Now, there's a few ways to develop, iOS and Android, iOS and Mac apps, through Swift. Now, do you use Objective-C? I don't think so. I think Swift is going to eclipse this at some point, if not deprecated as a whole. No real reason to keep it around. Go. Google engineers developed a programming language, Go, in 2007 and launched it in 2009. Go developers have a median salary of $74,000 globally and $140,000 in the US. It's modeled after an older programming language called C and is used to build simple and reliable software. Today, Go is used in many of Google's production systems and is one of the fastest growing programming languages according to GitHub. Yeah. So you take out all of the complexities of C, okay, and you go straight to Go, and Go, like I said, Go is the equivalent of parking a subcompact vehicle instead of trying to parallel park a trailer. It's just that simple. So Go and Swift, to me, are languages that you should go for if you're going to get into this area. All right, number one is Scala. Scala, which is short for a scalable language, which was first developed by German computer science Martin Ordersky. Scala developers have a median salary of $76,000 and globally and $150,000 in the US. It's used by many developers of Java, an older and very popular programming language. Developers use Scala to make their business applications more productive, reliable, scalable, and is designed to avoid common bugs. Yeah, and see, that's the whole purpose of a lot of these new languages, okay? The new languages are meant to get around the old decrepit style of programming. Like I said, C++ has memory hole leakage all over the place. That's why whenever an application is developed in C++, your computer slows down, you gotta hit Control-Delete to try to kill the task because the task is actually causing slow down because memory leakage is all over the place and your system has run out of memory. And so I see nothing wrong with, this list at all. I just think that if you have access to a new language, you should be actually, you should be taught in that. I don't think, my philosophy is this, from an academic standpoint, from an academy standpoint, I don't think we should be teaching people on these old languages at all. It's a waste of time. It's a huge waste of time, okay? What's the point in learning C++ and C if all the new languages kind of cut out all of the fluff? Let's just get straight to the point. Well, there's no point in teaching us languages from 20, 30 years ago when the new languages that came out 5 years ago outperform and basically obliterate these old languages. No reason to use it, especially if you're using Swift and Apple is pushing Swift. Why are we still trying to learn Java? Why are we still trying to learn C++? What is the value of that? I think there should be like a higher level of understanding of it, but not an actual need to go back and look at a whole entire semester of C++. Why are we wasting our time doing this? All right. Number 11 does have some recs he wants to go over. So.
Hey, Mike, just give me a second. I'm doing something real quick. I'll be with you in 1 minute, all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Professor Black Ops actually corrected me. In LAMP, it's Linux, Apache, MySQL, and Perl. Thank you for that. So.
Yeah, I didn't really want to go over too many. I just want to go over this one, machine learning, when I see this is coming up a lot. And I think someone had asked me about that earlier, and I kind of wanted to cover that a little bit. Hold on. Over here, let me pull this up.
Yeah, Professor Black Ops says, I think the old languages teaches fundamentals. See, I would agree with that if that was necessary. Let me give you an example. None of Tesla's cars, or any EV for that matter, come with a clutch. Now, does it make sense to teach people how to drive a stick 10 years from now if most of our cars are going to be EV? If 90% of the cars going to be produced are going to be EV based? There's no clutch there. What are we using that for? Right? The EV is the equivalent of Swift or Python for application development. And so C++ is the equivalent of trying to drive a tractor trailer with 21 gears, man. They make an automatic transmission though. It's nice that you know how to drive. It's nice that you can operate 21 gears, but we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've got like a machine learning physician. I don't know if anybody is kind of in this arena, or if anybody's kind of messing with this. I know we kind of spoke about that a little bit. Mike, what do you know about machine learning? If you want to kind of talk about that for just a quick second, 10 seconds or so.
What about machine learning in terms of like in terms of what? It's a set of algorithms used for using data science.
Okay. All right. And you have a lot more companies today really coming up who are really getting deeply involved with this. And I would say there's a lot of money involved in this game, and it's only going to increase. And Mike, I don't know what kind of experience are you having? Are you seeing with that? You know, from your position or your company, but are you seeing any greater demands in that arena or no?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a whole entire data science department that deal with machine learning. And so that's really out of the hands of IT, but it's in the hands of the data science department. And so they're fully invested into machine learning. That's just what they do. They're pretty autonomous too. They don't even talk to IT in that regard, unless they have a impactful problem. They kind of run their own operations. That's outside of the sphere of influence from IT. And so machine learning, very critical now, and very high paying, lucrative position. You know, most of the people I know that are in the data science department, they make no less than 150K. And so what I'm saying here is that machine learning will eventually become part and partial to these roles, in the same way that assist admin helps out in IT. Machine learning will be like the assist admin of data science, because that's mostly where machine learning is being used, in the data science department.
Yep. You know, and it interfaces with IT very heavily, because there are some programming skills that they're really looking for some people in. And I've got a position here as well that I just got. It's pretty new. I kind of just wanted to break it out with some folks, and it's paying just on a base 130,000, between 120 and 135,000. It might even go up from there. But I just kind of want to break this down, so some of the guys might want to listen to it and just hear what kind of skills or what they really are looking for out of this.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
It was going to engineering cannabis. I'm getting ready to break this machine learning thing down a little bit. But from your perspective, how would you break down machine learning?
Machine learning, basically, it's a facet of data science. There are three facets of data science: machine learning, deep learning, and what I call NLP, natural processing language, or natural language processing. I always figure it out. So machine learning basically requires utilizing data. You can utilize data itself to do two things: automate a system or make a predictive analysis. And you utilize machine learning, you utilize certain algorithms. Mostly the two programs utilized in machine learning is R and Python. And you utilize basically data to basically create algorithms to create a predictive result. So again, machine learning, you have to have knowledge on Python. You have to have knowledge of statistics. Again, logistic regression, linear regression, clustering. You also need to understand how to clean the data, feature engineering. So cleaning the data is important. So that's the first aspect of any machine learning: how to clean data. So you understand feature engineering, impudence, how to basically, when you have a missing data, how to basically utilize impudence, basically mean median mode, how to basically utilize that to basically fix missing data, how to clean the data, utilize feature engineering. Then the easy part is basically using the algorithms, and the algorithms are Python. You have a lot of libraries: scikit-learn, Tableau, a lot of libraries that will help you on Python to basically generate an algorithm. It's easy. You just need to know how to do Python and R. So writing an equation, you just put in an equation, because we have libraries. Again, the libraries in Python are so much and so reliable that you can just generate an algorithm using Python equations, algorithms. So machine learning is a very powerful tool. But again, that's just one aspect. Again, I do deep learning, do NLP. Basically, it's basically a form of carrying a natural language, and I'm trying to quantify a language itself. And that's also another problem you deal with machine learning. You're dealing with data in terms of writing data, or basically language. How do you convert that into code? So bin coding and all that can also be applied. So there's a lot of aspect in machine learning. So there's a lot of knowledge you need to know in machine learning, again, statistics, linear regression, um, mathematical matrix. You need to know there's a lot of math behind machine learning. So you need to know the math behind that. And then from there, move into how to code it. And that's the easy part. And basically generating algorithms, that's the easy part. Knowing when to use your linear equation, when to use your logistics equation, when to use your clustering algorithms, when to use random forestry. All this are just part of machine learning, when to use it, how to clean data and all that. So it's a huge aspect, and it's very useful. It's a useful tool.
All right. So he kind of broke it down. And this is for an engineering company, in fact, an engineering kind of media-based company. But it is an engineering firm, and it's technical. And the reason why I like them a lot is because they're doing a lot of business in Africa, Botswana, they're in Ghana, moving to Namibia, and a lot of other areas. So for those people who are sitting here and saying fuck Africa and all that as well, Mzungus and many others who are highly technical, highly trained, are rolling up into that area like there's no tomorrow. This company is one of them, and we need to be on top of our game. But anyway, our man here, Engineering Cannabis, exceedingly sharp African brother, dead on his shit, has broken that down beautifully.
And one other thing, you need to know cloud computing. AWS, Azure makes machine learning way, way easier. So AWS and Azure it makes machine learning like just click through. So, but what AWS is, it turns machine learning like a calculator. That's what AWS and Azure does. But you need to understand that.
Well,
because that's where you get your data and all that. So that is an important skill you need to have, AWS and Azure, or Azure, either one.
All right. Now I'm getting ready to break down some of what we want. So I want to give just a little description of what they're kind of looking for this senior machine learning position. And I think you can get to this level somewhat quickly. When I say quickly, not in a year. So I don't know any of these guys sitting here who haven't got no IT training and are sitting back, working as a janitor or something like that, and then want to come in and be this. It's not going to happen that way, but you're going to have to come through a system and really understand a lot about how this thing kind of works. All right. Anyway, let me break this down. Now, from that, they say for your descriptions, they want people who can perform, statistical analysis. All right, be able to perform statistical analysis, like my man Engineering Cannabis say. You have to understand how that works. You have to be able to fine tuning and test and really test results. So it's a technical kind of a thing. So you have to be on top of fine tuning, testing. You're going to have to be able to train and retrain systems. So a lot of systems redundancies. You've got to know a lot about the systems you're working with, and you're going to have to train them. Engineering Cannabis, would you kind of explain a little bit of what they're talking about as far as train and retrain systems?
So retrain and retrain is basically what you do at the end. So you basically take a data set, divide it into your training set, validating. I'm just going into detail too much. So basically what you do is at the end of your machine learning objective, you create an algorithm. And that algorithm basically makes a predictive objective, makes a prediction. So your goal is, if new data is coming, your goal is to use that new data to train that algorithm. So again, you're always training your algorithm. It's never going to be stagnant.
Excellent.
So you always use new data to retrain your algorithm till it's never perfect, but till it has I always go with a 90% efficiency. I won't call it R, but
all right.
So that's what you do.
I just want to get through this quick. So when I ask you questions, hit it pretty quick, because
sure,
you can explain it quickly, and your knowledge is extensive. So I know if I get you rocking and rolling, man, you'll be up here for a long time and shit. But because your shit is deep. Okay. Anyway, and then from there, train and retrain systems. You want to work on basic frameworks, the various frameworks that you're going to be working on in this position. Engineering cannabis. Would you want to say this very quickly? What a framework? What type of framework we're talking about?
It depends on what the organization is, but most framework I've seen is either utilizing Python R, SQL, Python R, SQL, MySQL. Most of it, those were the one Power Based BI and all that. Those were the main ones. Most framework I've used in any of my data science, even the new one I'm about to go to. Those are the main frameworks they require.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. Undertaking. Okay. Machine learning experience. So okay, or excuse me, undertaking machine learning experiments, not experiences, experiments.
Machine learning experiments is basically, again, you're taking your data and you're experimenting within different algorithms. Again, you have numerous algorithms. There have algorithms that have been coming out doing research. So we have new algorithms coming out. Again, AWS is still deploying some algorithms into it. So it's not again, and your process is changing. So everything is as fluid as possible. So your goal is to make sense of it using data and using your algorithm. So you just basically try and error in different algorithms. Again, logistics, linear regression, clustering. So you're trying to make sense of your data. And your goal is to utilize your data itself to make sense and generate algorithms in there. So again, you're playing with the algorithm. You're playing with your data sets to make sense of it. You're trying to tell a story, as I always say, and make sense of the whole process itself.
Yep. And then, of course, as you undertake these, you have to also know how to test as well. Designing machine learning programs. So you have to be able to undertake that as well to design these systems.
Yeah. Python helps with that. R helps with that. Knowing how to generate. But again, you have to understand the math behind it. So Python, R helps with that. And AWS and all that makes it easy. It makes it way easy.
Now also developing deep learning systems
yes.
to deep learning systems to various uses to various use cases based on the business, basically based on the business models, based on the business needs, and also and ultimately finally implementing suitable AI/ML
machine learning.
Go ahead.
So what that whole spiel was is
AI and ML algorithms. Okay. Anyway, go ahead, Engineering Cannabis. Go ahead.
So what that spiel is this. You first thing I always say, before you even start a machine learning process, you have to learn the domain, the process itself, the business process, how they basically conduct day-to-day activities. So your goal is to find where the faults are and then automate it. So you have to understand the whole process. So as a machine learning engineer or machine learning, your first goal when your first day one on your job is not trying to deploy algorithms. Your day one is to understand the business process, how the business works, where the faults are. Then you move into algorithms. So that's just one part. Then the deep learning is a higher part of machine learning. So deep learning basically requires you knowing neural networking, knowing how to deploy neural networking, knowing how to weighted averages, basically in terms of, it also utilizes Python, and in the program it utilizes Python, it's called Keras, and TensorFlow Keras, and it's a beautiful program that you can do deep learning. And deep learning is basically taking data, instead of feeding data, you directly feeding data, you're training your algorithm to recognize a data. So if you have a picture of a dog, you're training your algorithm to recognize how that dog looks based on the feature. So that's another aspect of data science. That's deep learning. So you're doing deep learning, and there's machine learning and deep learning. So that's another aspect.
There we
So
go.
that's
All
a
right.
requirement. And again, before you even understand any of this, you have to understand the process, the business
Very good.
process
Well,
itself.
I don't want you to go too deep because we got a lot more here to cover. Okay, that's good. That's good, man. You banging it. All right. I want now we're going to talk about a little bit of the kind of requisitions. What do we need to be able to do this position? Engineering cannabis kind of went into that a little bit, but this is the spec that I have here real quick, and I want to talk about this for a second. So the key thing that I want people to understand is that this whole machine learning piece is directly relatable to technology. It is tech. This is where this game is going, and we want to be thinking about that. We are Black men here. We see a brother right here who's dead on top of this game. We are looking to definitely look to have people look into this type of thing as they are in the technology arena, develop their skill sets, and be able to move into these types of positions because they're going to be greater in demand. Just to say the least, like I said, this is a fairly new position, 120 to 135. It may even go higher depending on the person. This is just this is walking through the door. It's not even including bonuses. So let's take it from here. Okay. Also, the skills that you have to have. You have to have the ability to write code in Java. And what's that? What's our favorite reptile? Python. All right.
Yeah.
Right there. Now, engineering cannabis he just broke it down for you, but there it is right there. So
Python, JavaScript, yes. I know how to write Java, but mostly I use Python and R. But yeah, Python is.
Here we go. So there it is right there. All right. Knowledge, okay, on basics of math. And hold on a second, I'm sorry, I'm just pulling this up in my thing here. Knowledge of math and probability. Okay, so statistical analysis, which would be probability and statistics. You have to have a good math background and understand somewhat of probability. So we want people, so this is, these are people who have a little bit of a math head. You don't have to be a math genius or a math elite, as we say, but somebody who has some chops in mathematics, where, like I said, you don't have to be a supreme math expert, but you have to know somewhat of some of the basics. So a probability and statistics class is something that you're probably going to want to have some knowledge in, as well as a basic overall good fundamental background in what I would consider let's say college algebra or at least at the very high school level.
Linear algebra. You need to have
linear algebra class. So
yes, you have to have basics of statistics is important. There's a lot of statistical models. Even without using machine learning, there's still, you have to, even if I'm not implementing on Python, I still have to develop some statistical models on my own, utilizing data. So there's a lot of statistics behind it, and it's
there we go.
a lot of statistics and all that going on.
All right, man. You get ready to get it. Man, Jerry Cannabis, man. This dude is he can go deep. We're gonna get deep in this in a second, because I'm really gonna need your input here in another good second. But you are killing us. Okay, good understanding. Okay, and strong knowledge. All right, of okay, strong, a very strong understanding in algorithms and statistics. So, like engineering cannabis was saying before, like you say, the statistics piece, the algorithm piece,
yeah,
this is huge. This is about data, massive. He's breaking that down. I didn't expect him to be on here today, but here he is, just totally backing this game up beautifully and just breaking it down for us. And as far as what you kind of need, you can understand why these jobs are, require these skill sets, and why it goes at the dollar amount that it does. We do need people here who are who have good skill sets like engineering cannabis, who is supremely skilled in these areas. Okay. Also appreciation of data modeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Data mining, data modeling.
We're gonna ask you that in a second. Hang on. Okay. Data modeling, software. Software architecture.
Yeah.
Okay. And data and data structures and experience of working in frameworks. All right. Now, if you're in cannabis, just break this down in a quick kind of 1 minute breakdown if you can. Just break down what we just went over here real quick for a second.
So basically, you're working with algorithms. You're working with, again, I broke it down. Most algorithms are into three: linear, clustering, and logistics. Those are just three main algorithms in machine learning. So you're working with math, a lot of math. Secondly, in terms of data structures, Python, R, JavaScript. And again, there's going to be a lot of cleaning and a lot of cleaning of data. Again, most of data science roles require cleaning. And when I say cleaning, I mean you have to utilize feature engineering, all that. So they're dealing with data structures and SQL and all that. And once they give it to you, the first thing I always tell people is graph your data, visualize your data. Then that's where you see your problems. Then you start putting feature engineering. I'm just going too deep. But again, the goal is for you to get a good data set, clean the data set, and utilize programs like Python R to generate an algorithm that either predicts an objective or automates the system. And again, at the end of the day, you're utilizing Python, R, and other aspects to help you do these tasks. So you're playing with data, a lot of data itself.
Very good, very good. Very strong in tech. Excellent breakdown. All right, now we're gonna hit a couple of last pieces and we're gonna get through this, but I just want people to understand. So when you come up in here and you fucks in with the brain trust, you know exactly what game we playing up in here. Okay, and this is definitely to kind of hype some of these young cats up here who are listening, who definitely are looking to accede to this area. And older cats, especially if they think they can get into this as well. All right. Also, past experience, okay, of working in like I said, past experience of working in frameworks, of course, that we have to have, but also frameworks, okay, in the last job or internship. So you can see that people can have an internship. Somebody could be kind of young coming into this and have good experience, or somebody who's had some good experience with this as well, working in the job, but they want this kind of experience. So it's not so much how many years you have in as far as, have you been in here 20 years or 10 years or so forth. It's kind of the environments you've been in and what you've worked with. So somebody even coming out of an internship who's coming out and had this kind of experience can potentially look at this kind of opportunity. So, I just wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit, but expound on that a little bit. You don't have to be a 10-year person in, but somebody like a engineering cannabis who's got a lot of experience in this kind of background would be quite excellent for a situation like this. Okay. With time tends to give you a better result, but obviously, go ahead, engineer, go ahead.
So yeah, you hit the nail. Time gives you the information. And again, knowing how to deal with data. practicing every day. And then I'm not saying, even right now, even though I have knowledge of it, I still practice every single day. I practice my natural processing language. I practice even right now, I'm even doing blockchain today. I'm still practicing how to write a smart contract on Ganache on solid. So I practice every single day on what I'm dealing with the data, how they make sense, what story is it telling me, how can I make a prediction in it. I even play with stocks and all that with the data for stocks and all that. So I practice at least 3 to 4 times, 4 hours a day on a specific topic. And I'm always focusing on blockchain, IoT, or machine learning, deep learning, natural processing language. I practice every day, and that's how you get better. You have to practice, and you then in any interview, even I got an interview recently, which I already accepted. You always, you always have that knowledge because you practice, and then that's the only way you can be a good machine learning, deep learning, or data scientist.
Let me
Practicing.
ask you, where are you interviewing? Are you interviewing in your local area, or are you going outside?
VA. I'm going to VA and all the other places.
So you would consider New York?
I'll consider it, but right now I already got something already lined up.
Anyway, okay, reasonable communication skills. Okay, reasonable communication skills. You have to be able to communicate. All right. So you're just not a tech head.
Storytelling.
Yeah. You got to storytell. You got to sit back and be able to paint a picture. So you're just not some tech guy sitting in the corner and you can't talk with anybody. That will not work. So you definitely have to have good communication skills to or at least reasonable communication skills to be able to interface with the other people who you're working with and reporting to as well. Okay.
Yes.
Now working, you also have to have the ability to work with a team. You have to be a team player.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
I
and
can
also,
I can I can attest to that because I work with physicists, chemists, I work with mathematicians, I work with geologists, I work with everybody. The goal is to how do I ascertain data? You might not even ascertain the data them giving you. You might ascertain it from them talking to you. Again, how can I ascertain that data itself? So communication, talking to people, communicating your results, communicating your algorithm, communicating how you generated your algorithm, communicating how you clean your data, communicating how to tell the story on what, because you come there and say, this is my data and this is the result I get, then they say, okay, what's it about? But if you come in there and say, this data tells you this is going to happen at this certain time, or this data I predict that this data is going to give you, if you put this variable into this, it's going to reduce the efficiency of your whole process. So
excellent.
telling a story from there and communicating how to communicate properly with your data, that's the
Now
key.
that's the kind of example I'm talking about. We have to understand that. So you kind of hear from here that I think is an actual quite excellent breakdown as to how you have to be able to communicate and why you have to have those skills. Now also, now this is what they're kind of looking for with respect. Now listen to this, folks, very very carefully as far as what they want from an educational perspective. Hear this out. Preferred. Always remember preferred. Now I'll go into that in a second. I think engineering cannabis will be able to hit that as well, but I'll hit it first. But we'll say this: preferred degree in computer science. Okay. Or mathematics. Okay. Or similar courses of or fields. All right.
That's as
Hold
big as
on.
possible.
Yeah, they
But
make it.
I'll tell you what.
Let me finish. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And be able to finally uh, a demonstrated experience of of uh, of let's say experience of working kind of in the machine learning in machine learning jobs, but before is preferable, but not exactly necessary. But it is but there is an advantage. Okay, so from the standpoint of your education, they make it very vague, and I'll get into that with engineering cannabis in a second. It's kind of vague. Some people, if they have very good math skills, because they tend to take you out. Believe it or not, you may not necessarily have to have a degree. If you have courses in this, if you've taken some of this stuff, let's say at a community college, at an AS level, so forth, or an associate's degree level, but yet you have performed or shown that you have skill, at least in basic probability mathematics, or you have this type of background, but your skill set has also shown that you've been in this environment, you will be considered. If you have not specifically worked in this type of job before, does not knock you out of the box. But certainly if one has had an advantage, has had some experience there, they have somewhat of an advantage. Go ahead, engineering cannabis, on those two key points I just brought up, how would you kind of interpret that as well?
So most data scientists usually don't have a computer science. They might not, because I know a lot of data scientists who have backgrounds in economics, in mathematics, in history. I've seen a lot of that. And I don't even have a background in computer science or mathematics. I have a background in engineering, but not mathematics or computer science. And again, you can learn this. It took me 2 years to learn data science. And while I was learning, I was basically applying to jobs and my job basically pushed me into data science, and I learned it on my own and with some courses too. But again, you do not necessarily need, again, a big background in mathematics or all that. It's preferred, but it's not that definitely needed. If you can perform basic matrix, basic statistics, probability, if you can perform linear algebra, if you know how to utilize all the algorithms, it's easy, especially with AWS being employed right now. It's not necessarily needed, but most people I see, they always require you have to have a mathematics. So I don't, and I get jobs easy without a computer science or mathematics background. But you need to understand the basics. You need to understand how to do these things. You need to read and understand, thoroughly read. You can read on your own and understand it. In terms of certs, I haven't seen much certs in machine learning that people require. I don't have a cert. I know the subject. Based on my experience, people trust. Based on where I've worked and my experience, people trust. Okay, he can do the job. But I do not have any certs in terms of machine learning or deep learning. And what I've seen in terms of trying to do the certs, I've seen a lot of basic foundational knowledge that doesn't help me if I want to get a cert. So I usually don't pursue a cert, but I haven't seen much. But again, most people I know in this data science field, they come from different backgrounds, history, economics. I've seen people in social science, and it's important because you really need to know, especially with social science, you need to do data science in social science. It's an important field in there. So again, it's if you have any degree or any search, you come in, but you know how to do it. That's the important part. How to perform the task. It's not how many degrees or search you have. Is whether are you basically efficient enough to basically do the task of machine learning or deep learning equations. So understand the background behind it. Again, the certs and all that, it's all good but it's not necessary,
I
especially
think
especially
I think
within machine learning and all that.
no.
Go ahead.
No. I think that's an absolutely excellent breakdown. Shout out to Black Torch. He just said, you go to Khan Academy to learn linear algebra and algorithms. That's an excellent place to go to pick that up if you have to do that. That is an awesome learning center that costs you nothing, or you can actually go to Chegs where they actually have those same classes. You pay $20 a month on that, and you get a tutor and everything else like that as well. And so you have problems and you can correct them with them and everything else like that. You can go on and do that too. But there are places that you can go to really get tightened up to learn this stuff, to enhance your skill sets. And I would expect people who are looking to become a lot better now during this period to be doing things like this. But anyway, that's it. That's what I'm gonna say about this job description. I did not expect engineering cannabis to come in and kind of break some of this stuff down, but it was awesome that he comes in here. These are some of the resources that we have on the Black Brain Trust. He just broke this down better than anyone else I could say could do it. Engineering cannabis, thank you very much. That's great. And this is what we're looking at machine learning, definitely in the high dollar range, and we want guys definitely to be aiming at this kind of thing, and brothers especially. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I have other X, but I'm not going to go over that. I wanted to go over that in some detail.
And I'll say this.
Anything else? Go ahead, break it down.
It's highly profitable. I mean, in your side, I've seen from people offering from 200 to 300. I've seen people in VA offering 250. I've seen people in every other. There's so much need in machine learning and deep learning that they don't have enough people to fill those positions. I'm having people text me, hey, do you know anybody who can fill this position? Do you know, I know you already, but do you have anybody you know? Do you work with anybody? We're willing to basically make the person happy because there is such a lack in this field. In the data science field, there's such a lack in the machine learning, deep learning. There's such a lack. Even IBM, I got 5 emails about a quantum data scientist from IBM, 5 roles. And each role basically spelled out what Nagone just spelled out. Exactly what Nagone said was exactly what was in the IBM role. You can get into this and learn. Again, it's an everyday learning. I learn every single day. There isn't any day I don't learn something new about what data science or blockchain or how can I apply it. I learn every day, and that is seen in what I do in my job and everything else.
Yep. But this is what's up. These are the cats we got coming on to the Brain Trust. Highly butter-laid brothers. But these are highly butter-laid jobs as well. And this is where we need to be moving into. This is what we need to be shooting for. Is there going to be some level of resistance to people, to Black folks? I'd say yes. There always is. That's part of the game. But I think when you're coming in with this skill set and this background, because of the tremendous demand in these areas, you walking in with the skills, you're all good. Engineering cannabis, do you find yourself having a difficult time getting interviews or companies wanting to talk with you?
I have companies begging me. I have interviews almost every week if I want to. And it's not difficult. You just go in, and I have people calling me saying, hey, we need someone now, even contract positions, which I don't like taking at this point. But I have contract positions offered to me. I have positions from the government, positions from private sectors, Google, IBM. I mean, there's even the health sciences. I have seen hospitals. I've seen research labs. There isn't any place that doesn't require data science. Banks. I've seen a lot of people requesting the needs of a data scientist, requesting the needs on how can you make sense of our data? How can you use this data to drive our business? I mean, it's even within the consulting arena, it's a huge money maker. So it's not difficult to get a job, especially within data science. I mean, you will not starve. That's definitely. You will not starve. You will have enough money to basically even do what you want to do on the side. You will not
What are
starve.
you kidding me? You're gonna come off like the mob. At the end of the day, you coming off like the mob. Look,
you will not starve. You
This
will definitely not starve.
you are definitely going to going to work. You're gonna make pretty much what you're gonna want to make, and the opportunities are legion. So I just want us
And
to.
you can command your own salary. You can tell them, I know I
That
deserve
is
this.
absolutely correct. I've got a couple more of these positions that will be coming up. So I just wanted to go over this one more specifically because I wanted to cover this and kind of give a little juice to the cats out here in the chat room and some others who are looking to kind of accede to this level and say, hey, listen, this is what we're on. We want more brothers to certainly get into this, and we want to raise these expectations from those who are preparing and or seriously preparing for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because the opportunities are deep. I'm done with this as far as this rec is concerned. Engineering Cannabis, thank you very much for backing me up on this. I didn't even count on you being in here. Man, you were that's awesome support. And Mike, go ahead, man. You got it.
All right. We got Dr. Phoenix on the panel now.
Doc Phoenix.
Yeah, that was an excellent breakdown by Engineering Cannabis. I mean, he was right on the money. You know, I I mean, there's nothing more I can expand upon just the skill set you would need to know. But one thing he did highlight that I've talked about so many times is data science, and specifically data science in healthcare biomedical research. That's how I got my start. When I was a McNair Scholar in undergrad, I got my start working doing statistical analysis, linear regressions on data that I was working with. I had to do my own. I had to tabulate my own data and put it into tables and stuff like that. And that's something I had to learn in undergrad. And I learned that as a result of me being in the McNair program. And I ended up working with a statistician that was a part of my department at the time. So I mean, if brothers can walk out here into the world, into the world and with this kind of knowledge and the skill set, I mean, you can literally write your own check. I mean, there's just, I can't even begin to explain. Like, you can just go Google, you can Google job listings for statistical geneticists, epidemiologists.
Yes,
Um,
epidemiology. CDC
Absolutely.
right now, CDC is hiring a lot of.
A lot of epidemiologists, and they need it now. They need
Brother,
it now because of what's going
I've
on.
been talking about this for a minute about the NIH building out their whole with Google. They partner with Google to build out their whole big data cloud infrastructure. They can't find enough statisticians and data scientists to put in their roles, and they need
Yeah,
folks at the masters and PhD level. So I
yeah,
mean, again, I've talked about this so many times, and what Engineering Cannabis and Magon just did that was money right there. That was 100% money.
yeah. Dr. Phoenix, right? CDC. I mean, John Hopkins. I've seen people from because I have a master's in engineering, but I've seen people from John Hopkins, from CDC. I've gotten jobs from everybody just saying, we need these people. We don't have enough. I mean, from entry level to the highest level, managerial level. I mean, even banks are looking for vice presidents for data science. It's
Absolutely.
ridiculous in terms
That's
of.
why I brought this job up here today. One of the top ones, one of the top recs that I have. And I have other stuff with Unix. I have some developing positions, cloud computing, and I need some strong developers in Java, primarily JavaScript people and AWS and so forth. We have that standard realm, but the stuff that I want to talk about is this new emerging stuff that is huge, that's paying big money. It's going to be even more and more valuable. That's jumping out here where there are not enough people. We don't have enough people in tech anyway, where they're not enough. We do run into racial issues, problems in the tech industry. We've said that. Me and Black Torch one time, we're getting into it a little bit with respect to that. Black Torch, highly skilled, highly butter-laid brother as well. But these guys, they see what's going on, but they also know that at the same time with these other areas that are growing and expanding in the tech in the tech game, there's a tremendous opportunity as well. We need to be taking advantage of that. Our job here is to stay ahead of the curve, the tip of the spear. That's the game, to be the sharpest out here. And that's what we're trying to push. That's what we're talking about here specifically. And these are the kind of opportunities we have. I want us to accede to them. Brothers like Engineering Cannabis and others who we hear, there are quite a few others, Dr. Phoenix and everyone else like this, who are on top of this, understand as well, Complex, Mike, all these other brothers who are in this game. This is what we're trying to push at our highest levels. Any brothers, I went through this rec, any brothers who have any background in this, please hit me up so I can at least present you, all right? And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Okay, guys.
And also the opportunities for continued education will be provided by the companies. I have companies who tell me, look, we'll send you to go do your PhD in mathematics for free. Just come work for us. I have companies who tell me, I give you a second master's for free in anything you want. Just come work with us. And these are the kind of stuff that I'm getting offered for free. I mean, this is how it is. You have a lot of opportunities, not only monetary in terms of finances, but also educational. So again, I don't need, if I want to go do another master's or PhD, I don't have to have student loans. They pay for it. And after that, I don't even have to stay with them a year after I get a PhD. After 6 months with my PhD, I leave for another job who pays more. Or I go do my own startup or do something. Again, you can even do startups and work for the government as a contractor and get more money. So there's a lot of advantage.
I mean, what Engineering Cannabis just said is 100% true. I think that if you go back a few months, I think it was like near towards the end of last year, Mike and I talked about this for a bit. Look, there are programs through the CDC, through the NIH, where they offer, if for folks who are already in the field, let's say you don't have a master's degree, but you're already in the field and you have a few years of experience, you can go through training with the NIH and the CDC, where they got bioinformatics training, they got data modeling training, statistical analysis training, all kinds of training. And it's completely free, funded by obviously the federal government. And if you're a student in school, they have a whole bunch of internships you can get through them, fellowships you can get through them at both the master's and the doctoral level. That it is free. They will pay for it all. I've been saying this stuff forever. Like, brothers don't even have to go into debt if you know what it looks and you know exactly what you want to do.
There's an advantage. So it's, again, you understand it, you go into it, it's just going up from here. And again, it's going to be in demand, and it's always going to change. Again, learn it. It's not easy to learn. It takes time to learn, and it takes commitment. But once you learn it, I promise you, you will not be out of a job. You always have a job. You always have money in your pocket, and you can do anything on the side. Again, you have a skill in data science. You can go on the side and start your own stuff. You can work with the government and do projects for the government where they pay you your own stuff. Again, there is no disadvantage. Right now, I'm trying to take every advantage. I'm doing data science and cannabis. So again, there isn't any disadvantage at all. You just
Why
have
would
to learn it.
cannabis be any different than any other product or any other
Again,
industry out here? No different.
yeah, no different.
I would
Again,
treat it like any other pharmaceutical.
Exactly.
so again, there isn't any disadvantage. I have a skill. I'm utilizing, like Dr. Phoenix has a skill. I'm have a skill in data science. I'm utilizing it. I can see it even in healthcare and health informatics. In anything you want to do, there's a lot of need and transition in how to utilize data science, machine learning, deep learning, natural processing language, and utilize it and make as much money as you want and demand your salary as you want. So it's up to you. Again, it's studying, and it's not 2 months of studying. It took me 2 years, and I'm still studying till today. So it's a
Well,
lifelong learning.
Well, just wanted to make sure, as far as this is a position that I'm talking about that I would like to see brothers begin to see to as they start to develop in their careers. You can do it if you get internships and this kind of stuff as well, and you work for a period of time with a company that shows you a lot. This can put you right on that track as well. I'm talking to serious cats right now, brothers who are serious about getting their game right. All right. That's who I'm talking to right now. I'm not talking to the dreamers and bullshitters. I'm talking to real cats, real brothers who are out here who are very serious about extending and succeeding. That's what we're talking about. And you see the level of knowledge that some of the cats we have here. Well, that shop is wide open right now. Anyone who knows anyone who can kind of deal with this a little bit or understand it, please let me know. You might know somebody who's in that area. Let me know. We can certainly move forward with either you or that person. There's no question about it. This is going down right now. How I used to say on Upsetting Shouts, is going down today. This is going down today. So let's think about that. All right, I'm pretty much done with that. Engineering Cannabis, thanks. Go ahead, Phoenix. Dr. Phoenix, you got it.
Oh no, I just want to throw out something real quick. We all know what's going on right now with the COVID-19, the pandemic. Everyone knows that you have clinical trials going on all over the place. Pretty much every biotech pharmaceutical company right now has clinical trials, which means they need data scientists. So the demand right now, especially in biomedical pharmaceutical research, is so great. Again, this is an area where, believe it or not, this country doesn't have nowhere near enough qualified people to do this. So this area is wide open for brothers to get into. But make no mistake about this. This is something that takes years to master. What Nagone and Engineering Cannabis is talking about. This is expert level stuff. This is not really entry level stuff per se, but this is more expert level knowledge and skills that brothers need to have. And right now, the brothers got all the time in the world. Brothers got plenty of time right now to get their skills and get their act together, and they can be able to take advantage of this. Because right now, clinical trials for remdesivir, you still got hydroxychloroquine. You still got trials of that going on. There's stuff going on all over the place. You got trials for everything. You got biotech companies like Genentech, GlaxoSmithKline, Gilead. All the major players out here, they're all in this. And so again, there's no shortage of openings for brothers who have that skill set in data science.
And with the COVID again, I'm not lacking a job. I'm not seeing today. I can tell you right now, I'm not afraid of any job shortage or anything, because again, I just type data science on Google or Indeed. I see 200 job just pops up, and like, okay, this is fine. So again, there is no lack of jobs, especially within data science, because there isn't enough of data scientists, especially brothers. We only have 4%. I looked at the stats. Only 4% of African Americans are in data science. Again, 4%, and that's so low for for very highly sought of skills. 4%. So we need to increase that so that we can have a lot of people in this field. And again, it's a lot of dedication, a lot of study. I'm still telling you, I'm still studying today. I know a lot, but I don't know enough. I still need to learn more. And I do research papers. I read books, research papers. I go online. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. 4 hours a day. I make sure I dedicate just to learn this. Again, there's no job shortage. It's always going to be a demand. And I'm not afraid of a pandemic coming in or anything, because I will know what I'm doing. I have a skill that can be applied to any industry. So again, we only have 4%. Again, 4% based on Forbes. Um, article on data science, we only have 4% of African Americans in this field. 4%. That's not right. We need more.
All right. Yeah, thank you all for joining us, man. Hit the like button if you've not already done so, and share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, because those posted on the community tab. Doc in the description, need the video for you to follow along with, and a reference for the any future playback. Shalom, everyone.